So we're going to talk about Vechain. It broke all-time highs again, and we're going to look at some bullish altcoins. So hi everyone, welcome to the channel. If you're new, make sure you've subscribed, hit that bell button so you don't miss anything, and obviously leave a like. So Vechain, boom, bang, off it goes again. It's looking really good. We're going to do some price analysis on it. Something that I set up a few months back, well not so much a few months back, a few days back essentially, of where it has been and where it could have went. And we're going to go over it, why that's kind of important. But obviously, if you do not understand what Vechain is, definitely a good hold. I personally don't hold it anymore. I sold not too long ago, but fundamentals of this project is good. And it's something that I'm looking to get back into in the long term, potentially depending on how the dominance plays out with the Bitcoin chart. Obviously, altcoins as well. So we will go over it in a bit more detail in a second. But it's important to know this. The market is strong. As you can tell by the title of this video, altcoins are bullish, and this is one of the ones that always does very well in alt season, which I will go over. So if you've been living under a rock and you don't understand what Vechain is, definitely give it a little bit of a look over. In my opinion, it's one of the stronger altcoins out there, especially for supply chain, and it's got some great partnerships. It's got a great actual use case. It's been around for a while, so make sure you have a look at this. But I understand that a lot of people watching this video will most likely be an investor in Vechain anyways. So this is what I kind of did not too long ago, right? When we start talking about where things have been, we had a nice impulse to the upside from all these various little impulses here. I've got a little bit of an old line there. Remove that. So we've had this nice forming uptrend for a while. This is a USD pair. We will go on into the BTC pair in a minute. Perfect synchronized tap to the 618 level on the Fibonacci, and this is where we are right now. We're at some very nice levels. Obviously, as you can see, very nice all-time high levels. It may well turn around. Obviously, there's a neutral candle so far today, potential bearish divergence appearing on the RSI, so just don't just ape into this, man, please, seriously don't. But in terms of price analysis, in terms of where it could go a little bit higher. It could go and consolidate over and above where 7 cents is, which is an extension level, and 8.3 cents, which is the short-term kind of bearing. But I don't want to look at the USD chart because it's very much manipulated by the BTC pair. I want to look at what the BTC pair is doing, because I think it's very much very healthy where it is right now. And we will talk about a few of these undervalued coins in a minute, so make sure you stick around. But looking at this is what I've had as my chart for a while, right? So essentially, analysis of this is simple. This is an impulse. We've pulled back into a very nice liquidity grab at the 786, and I think we're going to go to at least 167 Satoshi levels, which is still undervalued when I zoom out, and you'll see that in a second. So let me gradually just go out a little bit. Spoiler alert. We've been much higher. We've been a lot higher, and we could actually go much higher. We could, realistically, when you look at the BTC pair. Now, just to go and explain a few things, if you're new to this channel, I trade essentially and invest using the BTC pair. This is the overall price, right? The higher this goes, the more valuable it is in your BTC, and therefore, potentially, depending on what Bitcoin's doing, the more value it's worth in USD. Let's just say, for example, theoretical values here, Bitcoin remains $54,000 right now. Right now, $54,000, say. And this goes up to, let's just say, theoretical values from current prices up to this point here, another 88%. It's a bit of a change in dynamic, a bit of change in the old levels of pricing. If you add 88% of the current live pricing, it's a good chunk. It's literally nearly double. So you could be looking at maybe a 12 cents or maybe even a 14 cents, essentially, Vechain. It's important. So make sure you understand that. Even if Bitcoin goes down and this goes up, it's a good thing. So current pricing, I still believe, overall, if I remove some of the noise here, I believe, not financial advice of course, we are retracing this entire move, and I think we're currently at resistance levels right now, 382 levels, so this is where this obvious level comes into, and obviously this. I think we're going to go higher, 166 Satoshis maybe, or even 200 around this top point here. Could be very nice, which could give us at least a 50% growth. 30%, between 30 and 60% growth in my opinion. Okay, that's Vechain. It's looking pretty good though. It's looking pretty healthy. It's one of the healthiest trends you're going to see. Look at this, the perfect symmetry of a trend. It's looking really nice. Even the USD pair is looking really nice. So keep an eye on it. Let's look at altcoins though. Let's look at other altcoins because we do need to talk about it. I've not really been doing much bullish content recently. Little bit of a tip for you guys. Obviously, as I alluded to, I do the BTC pair more than essentially USD. It's all governed by Bitcoin. What's the point? So when you start looking at the CoinGecko in the last 7 days, there's been some monster moves, as you can see. But we'll go over it in a minute. But obviously, Bitcoin's doing well, and that may lead to some Satoshi bleeding out. But the total 2 chart is also going up. There's still fresh liquidity coming into this market, which is why Bitcoin and altcoins are going in sync, which is good. You don't want to have Bitcoin going one way and the total 2 chart going the other way. You lose a lot. So when we're looking at all these coins looking well, obviously Vechain's in there, 30% over the last week, but there's been some much bigger ones. Obviously, you can see Luna. Luna has been ridiculous. Chiliz has been brilliant. Obviously, Engine Coin's doing very, very well. And all these coins are doing pretty fantastic over the last 7 days. Tezos has finally woken up. Tezos has been undervalued, in my opinion, overall in the BTC pair. Look at the BTC pair from the last alt season. It's disgusting. It really is. There's a potential for an absolute land grab there. Reserve rights looking fantastic. 141 sats. Finally, we've broken out of a level from September. Unbelievable growth that could be happening over the next month or so with reserve rights. Other coins that are looking quite good. Ethereum has started to hit the demand zone and starting to go up finally. There's so many coins out here that are looking quite good. And overall, there's a lot of consolidation. So I look at the likes of Kusama and Zilliqa. They've had monster pumps over the last few weeks and they've slowed down, consolidated nicely, and they've remained at a steady rate on the BTC pair. Even when we look at some of the worst affected coins, realistically, these aren't too bad. The reason why I say this is because these have all had monster pumps over the last 2 weeks. Voyager's had a great run. Phantom's had a monster rise, right? Even Cardano's had a huge rise. Yes, they're going to pull back. But now you're seeing the flip side where these are retracing and consolidating now. Cool. All the other ones that have been consolidating over the last 2 weeks when these haven't been pushing are now going up. So it's important to understand that. So that's vitally important we understand that. So there's going to be some big moves, I think, coming up. But when we start looking at the total 2 chart, it is still rising, right? It's looking really good. In my opinion, I think this can go a lot higher. I think 640 billion technically in the market of the topper end of the coins, excluding BTC. You got to think, where's the rest of it? Well, it's all Bitcoin. Bitcoin's still a monster asset. If we look at how the demand of Bitcoin is increasing, but the good thing is, so are the altcoins. The altcoins' demand is still there, so it's incredibly bullish. So you're probably wondering, what do I recommend right now for you to look at? Well, I've mentioned a few there. We'll look at, obviously, understanding this is important. This, in my opinion, still needs to come down and the total 2 chart needs to go up, right? But when we look at some coins that are in my opinion, undervalued, I mentioned one before, which was Tezos in the BTC pair, right? If I go Tezos BTC, that is just filth. Look at that. If this gets traction in the BTC pair, you could probably do pretty well. So there's one option there alone. XRP as well, if you want to make some BTC, XRP is still on the floor. What if, right, just a theoretical thing here, what if you were looking for a positional hold to buy and use some profits into Bitcoin as a hedge, potentially that the lawsuit may evaporate or vanish? That is going to go ballistic, let's be honest. Other ones as well that I've mentioned recently, obviously I've mentioned some of the bigger cap coins as well. Obviously I've mentioned this a few times. Chainlink has started to finally move off into its own direction. What does this mean for the market? Well, it's good. Oracles always do well in alt seasons. As you can see here, Impulse, it's pulled back nicely into a nice demand area in around the 618, and this could take off again. This could do pretty well. So another high cap coin that's looking quite good. But again, just go on CoinGecko and see what is doing well. See what is finally moving. Obviously, Ethereum starting to finally move from demand zones. Obviously, there's loads of stuff. You know, when we start looking at other coins, you know, reserve rights is looking pretty good, finally growing. Theta Network's just constantly growing. It's been ridiculous, but all the altcoins are looking absolutely brilliant. But when you start looking on, obviously, CoinMarketCap, you get a different dynamic because it is in the USD pairs, which is more dominant essentially because of Bitcoin. But we look at the last 7 days on CoinMarketCap, it's been ridiculous because of obviously the Bitcoin growth as well. So it's relatively similar, but ultimately you're going to get a different dynamic of pricing due to this being led in USD versus Bitcoin. So I hope this video helps you. Obviously, Vechain's looking very, very healthy for a potential rise to the upside. And just be careful with jumping into coins that have already done a massive classic pump. Look at Chili's, for example. You may want to leave that to burn off a little bit. But, you know, when you start looking down here, what's not moved yet? What's retraced? What's looking quite good? Have a look at trend direction. Has it had an impulse? Has it pulled back to a demand zone? In the BTC pairs, you may well find a lot of opportunities. If you're looking in USD, make sure you understand your technical analysis with Bitcoin, because obviously Bitcoin is currently going on a little bit of a run right now. Break of all-time high could send it a bit more scary, a bit more FOMO mentality may coming in, but overall, dominance chart isn't rocketing right now, which is good, but the total 2 chart is still going up. Everything is looking pretty good.